What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, along with the lovely
Tiftastic.
And of course, today we have
Landon Calrissian.
Whose middle name is
Jor-El.
That's right. We're big Superman fans, and that's why today we're going to be talking about the 6-year anniversary of Man of Steel. Now, I know we're a couple of days late on this. We're a few days late on this. I know the official was like June 14th, but we needed to talk about this, and it's been a while since we all been together. We're obviously not all here together. Logan and Isaac are not here.
Summer vacation schedules.
Yes, but you know what? We're going to talk about this because we needed to get to this video. Before we do that, we just want to say that we're so grateful that you're here with us today, and we're thankful for all of you who are part of the Poindexter Lounge, because the Poindexter Lounge is
a place for nerds.
So if this is your first time, know this: we love you. We're glad to have you here. And if you like things like TV shows, games, movies, toys, and anything and everything in between, if it's nerd and it's us,
we got you covered.
That's right. And so we want you to be a part of that. So much so that we're giving stuff away. So this month we're giving away this Aquaman Orm 2-pack.
Very Ormish.
It is. It's the Gladiator Battle 2-pack. Not Tupac. Although he's still alive. It's this 2-pack right here. You can see there, it's got Orm.
It's very purpley.
Yes.
Yep.
It's very cool. It's very nice. And you can have this right here for your very own. All you gotta do is follow the rules. Those rules are, of course, you have to be a subscriber. You have to hit notifications. Give this video a like if you would, and go to one of our social medias, which can all be found down below in the description, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, or Twitter, and go ahead and
Birdie told me
and let us know if you want it.
Yeah, sign up for that. And then, of course, leave a comment and tell us that you want the thing, so that we know when we give it away that we're giving it away to somebody who actually wants it. All right? Here we go, folks. Man of Steel. This movie, for some reason, and this baffles me to this day, this baffles me. It almost drives me just insane, even uttering these words and thinking about this, the fact that this movie divides the Superman fan base. I don't understand it to this day, because I'm just gonna come out right and start with this whole thing. Man of Steel is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made.
Yeah.
Sorry, if that lets you know what side I fall on, there it is right there. So you can either be really happy with me for the rest of this video, or you can be really ticked off at me for the rest of this video. But man, I'm sorry. Man of Steel. It was so good, and I'm gonna tell you why.
That's where you first fell in love with Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah.
It was your man crush.
Man crush for sure. But here's the thing, guys.
Accent or not.
Man of Steel did something that I had always wanted to see. Now, I will just start off with this and say I love Christopher Reeve. This is nothing against Christopher Reeve at all, because I love Christopher Reeve. I love those old movies. That's what I grew up on, guys. I mean, I acted like a little kid when I got to meet Margot
He was like a
Kidder.
10-year-old boy.
I mean, my goodness, when I got to meet Margot Kidder, I just about lost my marbles. Love that. We got to meet Sarah Douglas this year, who was in Superman 2. We met Jack O'Halloran, who was played Non. I mean, I love those movies. I also love Dean Cain for what he did. We've met
got the trifecta.
Yeah, we've met Dean Cain. I love Dean Cain for what he did and what he added to Superman. And you know what? And even a movie that I have not really appreciated as much, Superman Returns. Mm-hmm. We got to meet Brandon Routh this year. I got to hear him talk about and share his thoughts.
We got to meet the little kid when we did one of those.
Yeah, the kid who played Baby Superman and lifted the thing in the Christopher Reeve.
Naked Superman?
Yeah, it was Naked Superman. Yeah. But we got to meet Brandon Routh this year, and after hearing him talk about his take on the character and his thoughts and stuff like that, that kind of changed my opinions in some way about him. It's not still a perfect movie for me, but I
like
appreciate
him as the Adam on Legends.
Yeah, so I appreciate it so much more. But here's what Man of Steel did for me that none of those other movies did. I was always a Superman fan. That's why his middle name is Jor-El, all right? That's why I got the tattoo right there, baby. And it's the only tattoo that I have, because when I was a kid, Superman, and this is partially Christopher Reeve, his inspiration, but Superman, I didn't have my dad growing up. So Superman for me was always the ultimate male role model. Not because he had superpowers, not because he was, could fly and did all those things, but simply because he was a good guy. He cared about the people around him. He cared about the people that he loved, and he always did everything he could to help them. I wanted to be that. Not having my dad growing up, I wanted to be that kind of man growing up. I wanted to be the kind of man who was there for my family, for my friends, for even the people who didn't like me and whatever. I try to treat people with respect.
Be there for them, try and
Yeah.
help, save.
And I never collected the comic books until the death of Superman. I had a couple of comic books here and there, but I never actually collected the comics until the death of Superman. When the death of Superman came up, I started reading the comics and I started seeing, wow, because I was like 16 years old, I was like, wow, these are actually intelligent. These are actually written well.
Yeah.
Like I never had thought of comics that way before as a kid, right? And so I wanted back issues, so I went and started back with the Man of Steel miniseries and the reboot of Superman in 1986 by John Byrne. If you haven't done that, do that. Read those comic books because they're awesome. Started reading that. This, to me, Man of Steel Superman was that Superman, where it was more about Clark being a person. It was the struggle that he had about the fact that he was an alien in this world and what that meant. And, you know, like, should he be Superman? How should he be Superman? That Superman was the facade, that Clark was the real person. All those things. That right there is what came across to me in Man of Steel. Superman as a flawed person. Was he Superman Christopher Reeve that just like walked out and was immediately Superman and loved by the world and all those things? No, I felt that it was a real world take on what if a guy showed up tomorrow with all these powers who was an alien.
Because he was bullied in school.
Yeah.
But
And he tried to control his anger. Because like when he got shoved down and he got bullied, he had his hand and squeezed the metal tube and it like he bent it.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily like taken his anger out on them and just like destroyed them.
Yep.
But he didn't because he was a good guy.
Yep, dog was getting out of control there. All right, so yeah, no, you make a really great point, Landon, because it showed the human side of Clark. Mm-hmm. Right.
But then when movies like this summer come out with Brightburn, it shows that there's a total different side that could have happened on the angry, evil, bad side.
Yeah.
And it makes you respect Superman that much more, knowing that he had that power that he could have turned, and yet he used it for good, and he still stayed the course.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is if a guy showed up tomorrow, like I said, with all these powers, the world wouldn't just embrace them. The world would be scared of them. Mm-hmm. And
they would do what they did in Man of Steel at first. How they like tried to like see what he was about and like they tried to handcuff him.
Yep.
When he could have easily just broken the cuffs like he did before when they told him like he could like go and he just broke the cuff.
Yeah, well, and that just goes like right into like Batman versus Superman. And,
I was gonna say
the
where
concern,
he was trying to stop it.
And the concern and everything that Batman has, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean that's a whole different thing. Tiffany and I still have to do our review of Brightburn, but yeah, it's just that goes to show you right there that there's legitimate concern when it comes to somebody like that, an alien. I mean, first of all, an alien, because in that world there had not been aliens, and so for an alien to show up, I mean, first of all, we'd all be freaked out about that there's actually aliens, right? And then if this guy has godlike powers and can fly and is super strong and all those things, we would all be scared to death. Like, is this guy good? Is he evil? Like, what's the deal? Mm-hmm. So when I look at Man of Steel and I see some of the choices made, I can appreciate that.
And you see the struggle that he went through.
Yeah, for sure. That like he had to go off and make those decisions and those choices and see who he was going to be.
And when he worked on the ship, the thing was exploding and he went in and saved like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it also goes to show the parents that raised him, that found him, that, you know, had it been any other family, had it been, you know, anybody else, that he had, you know, a dad figure that, you know, taught him, you know, right from wrong. And, you know, the bully's doing that. He's, you know, grabbing the fence post and bending it. But, you know, his dad's looking at him like, I'm proud of you, pretty much, for not doing anything when you could have just, like, thrown him across, you know, the state.
Yeah.
And then he showed his powers when he pushed that bus out of the water because he just wanted to save people.
Yeah.
You could see his heart then.
Yeah, and it's like, and I
And he
get
saved
it.
the bully that was bullying.
Yeah, okay, and here's the thing is, I get it. People complain about Jonathan Kent in the movie, and I understand why, because Jonathan a few times tells him, you know, like, you need to hide your powers, you need to do this. But the reality is that
As a parent, I would want you guys to hide your powers, because that means that you'd be found out, you'd
be
someone
studied, be
Yes.
taken away, all those things. And like when Clark
I'd
asks
have
him,
that fear.
when Clark says, people take this as Jonathan Kent just telling him that basically he should have let those kids die. But I never
No.
took it that way, because when Clark asks, he says, well, should I have just let them die? He doesn't come out and go,
Yeah.
yeah. He says, well, maybe, I don't know. But he leaves it for Clark to make
decide.
those decisions of, like, even though he tells him the world's not ready to see you revealed yet, the thing is, he still leaves it for Clark to decide.
Because he's playing God. He's choosing
Yeah.
if these people will ever die.
He didn't tell Clark that, yes, he should just let people die. He just said, I don't know, because he doesn't know. It's uncharted territory. It bothers me so much when I see people, like, get mad about scripts and stuff where they think that everybody should just have all the answers, right?
But that's-
Because Landon, if you had superpowers tomorrow and you were coming to me when you're struggling with these things, and I'm sorry, like, I don't have all the answers. I realize now, as a 42-year-old man, when I look at pictures of my family growing up, and my grandma raised me, and so my grandma was pretty young when I was born. My grandma was 35 when I was born. And I look at pictures now of my grandma at my age, 42, 43 years old, and I think, I remember I used to look at her and think, man, she had all the answers, she had it all together, she was, like, confident and understood life and everything else. And I realized I'm 42 and I'm still figuring things out, right? So it's not, so we look at our parents like they have, and trust me, I got everything figured out, don't worry about it. But no, we look at our parents like, you know, like they've just, like, unlocked the secrets of the universe. And the reality is, man, parents sometimes don't know what we're doing still yet either, right? I mean, like, adults don't, just because you're considered an adult doesn't mean that you have all the answers, and you
But
try to
just
figure
like
it out.
Jonathan Kent, it's like, you come and ask me a question. Yeah, I can help you with homework. I can teach you how to drive a car. I can, you know,
Yeah.
show you how to do this. But I don't fly. I don't have godlike powers. So I kind of don't have the answers to that because I haven't been there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like parenting and what do you do when your kid's a superhero? So
Exactly. But I just think overall the movie really presented that really well. The one thing that I really didn't like about Man of Steel, I will say,
Is how
Jonathan Kent died.
Yeah.
in the
Because
tornado.
to me,
And he just tells him stay there when Clark could easily came.
I feel like the way that they killed him, like, I get what they were trying to do, but I still don't like it, because
maybe
to
he
me,
had a heart attack in the tornado.
there you go. To me, Jonathan Kent should always have a heart attack, because
Yeah.
it should always be something that Clark
Cannot help or
cannot
prevent.
do. And I get it, and I've heard people, and I respect people who talk about that. Well, you know, it was a thing where, you know, he was respecting his dad because his dad didn't want him to reveal
at that
himself,
time.
and so that was still a hard struggle. I'm not saying that it wasn't still a hard struggle for Clark,
But I think it would have been harder.
but I feel like when you got a guy who can move that fast, that he probably could have moved that fast, saved
Like
Jonathan,
Flash.
like kind of like gone back into the crowd a little bit, disappeared into the crowd because everybody was paying so much attention to this tornado that he could have easily disappeared in the crowd, went and saved Jonathan, come back.
But just like in the comics, it's the one thing where they say, you know, the heart attack was the one thing I can't fix, I can't
Yep.
prevent, I can't help. It's all my superpowers.
That was in the
and
Christopher
this is
Reeve-
the one thing I
And
can't do.
That was in the
that was
Christopher Reeve
in
movie.
Smallville as well.
Yeah, that was.
Because that was the one thing he couldn't save his dad from.
all my
was a heart
superpowers, and I
attack.
can't change you. I can't.
That's-
from a myocardial infarction.
That's the quote from the very first Superman movie when
Yes.
when
And that
when
just-
Christopher
it
Reeve
hits you
when
differently.
Jonathan Kent dies of a heart attack and just falls dead there at the funeral. You know, he's standing there with his mom and he says, "All these powers, and I couldn't save it.
Yeah.
I couldn't."
It means more when. Not saying that any death is any, you know.
Yeah.
Every death is a great reward.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's, you know, it's meaningful when it happens that way because of.
Well, yeah, because I think it shows Clark
His
his
human side.
humanness
Human side,
and the
yeah.
fact that he can't save everybody. He can't fix everything with his superpowers. And what I love too is even though he puts on the Superman costume in this movie, he's not really Superman till the very end of this movie. And really a case can be made that, I mean, it's not until Batman versus Superman that we actually see him kind of moving as Superman, but he's not the classic Superman that we all know and love until really after Justice League, at the end of Justice League, where he's been through a lot. He's been through death and back.
I've seen some things,
and finally he's able to be the happy Superman. And that's why I would really love to see a sequel to Man of Steel now, because that's the Superman that we were left with at the end of Justice League. And Henry Cavill deserves to play that Superman.
Yes, he
wants to play that Superman.
At least one more time.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about rebooting everything.
I know, and I think that would be a real mistake with Superman, because I was just watching, and this is kind of funny, I was watching the episode of The Muppet Show from 1978 with, or it was 1980, I think, actually, with Christopher Reeve. And there were so many times watching that movie or watching that TV show where he looks a lot like Henry Cavill. Like,
there was times
I feel
in
that he looks
movie.
more like Henry Cavill than Brandon Routh.
Mm-hmm.
People say that Brandon Routh for some reason looks like him more and more, and I'm like,
There were times in the
I don't
movie
see
though
it.
with the World
Well,
Engine where he looked like him.
well, they
when
did that. They
Yeah, I
morphed
know.
that, yeah, but
But
it was seamless.
Like, they didn't have to do much. Because there's times when I watch that movie and I'm like, when did it happen? Because it's like you could tell.
Their facial expressions
Yes,
are
very
very,
similar.
very similar. I was watching that Muppet Show, that episode of the Muppet Show, and there are many times where Christopher Reeve makes facial expressions.
They have
or
that smirk.
like kind of,
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's something like and does this kind of mouth thing, and it's dead on
Yes.
the same as Henry Cavill. And so
It's dead on when they don't CGI a mustache.
yeah, I know. And it's
Mustache
unfortunate.
gate.
It's unfortunate that Henry Cavill's Superman experience has been weighted down by stupid things like that, like Mustache Gate and them, not being allowed to cut the stupid mustache off for
Mustache
Justice League
question.
and things like that. Because I'm telling you right now, Man of Steel was the Superman movie that I always wanted to see. Ever since I started collecting comic books and reading that John Byrne version of Superman all throughout the comic books, I felt like in watching Man of Steel, that was finally the Superman I grew up with and always and looked up to and wanted to see on the big screen. He looks like a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he
didn't need a muscle suit. He just, when he was shirtless, he looked like Superman.
Yeah, I mean that moment where his
His
said,
shirt burns off.
His
in the,
shirt burns
on
off.
The oil rig.
And he goes steals clothes and stuff like that, and like he's running through there. I mean, the dude is ripped. He's just he's awesome. So I mean, like you put a padded suit on top of that, he looks
Beefy.
very beefy, and the guy can act.
Beefy.
The
Yeah,
guy
he's
can
a
act.
good actor.
I really feel that Henry has done a tremendous job, and I love the fact so far, and we haven't met Henry Cavill yet, but I've seen many things about Henry Cavill. Really hope so one day. But all the people that we've met so far that played Superman, the one thing that I can really appreciate is
Is
that
that they're all nice.
they all seem to have a
Genuine.
great genuine understanding of what it means to play Superman, of what it
And
means
what it
to be
means to
Superman.
people.
Yeah,
Yes.
and what it means.
For your rendition of it.
Like when you were talking to Brendan Ralph, he
Yeah.
was like really understanding and was like having a conversation with you about that.
Yeah,
when
well,
we met him.
when we saw him
And-
at Comic-Con,
And I forgot his name.
Dean
Tom
Cain.
Welling.
Oh, Tom Welling, yeah. Yeah. Well, and so I think it was interesting
And Dean
because
Cain.
and Dean Cain, because like Brandon Ralph, all we did was see it. We interacted at his panel discussion, which we'll get that video up here on the channel from the Motor City Comic Con. But from that panel discussion, those questions that we asked, when we went and met him in his line, he immediately recognized who we were, came out from behind his desk,
Nerded out with us.
nerded out with us, and gave me a big hug because of what I had said about just now, what I shared with you guys about what Superman means to be. Because he got it. He's a dad now, and he understands it. And that was like,
And he gave me spoilers for the Legends show, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize they were real until later.
I was like, wow, this guy gets it. And even Dean Cain.
He nerded out during his panel too.
Yeah, but Dean Cain, like his handlers would try to tell us that we couldn't have the whole family in a picture, right? And Dean stopped
Shushed
them,
them.
shushed them when he found out because the boys weren't going to be in the picture with us. And what's he do? He turns around and he tells them, he just stopped and he looks at them and goes, never do that again. We're gonna get the whole family in the shot. And then he ended up taking like 7, 8 shots with us, doing all kinds of funny shots with
Probably
the stuff.
irked him anyway.
Yeah, and then I mean, and Tom Welling, man, you know, like we got a
So
professional photo with him, but he was super sweet, super fun, was laughing and joking with the kids. That just means a lot.
We had just introduced him to Smallville,
Yeah,
so he's asking
we just
questions.
finished season 1. And he's like, "What do you think of Lana?"
So, you know, all really good things. But like I said, this is the
people
6
who
year.
played the Superman or in that universe have taken it very serious.
And that's what I see from Henry Cavill.
Yes.
Like when I see videos, there's people who say Henry Cavill's a jerk and all these different things. And I don't know about all that because every time I've seen video of him out with fans and people like asking him for an autograph or stuff like that, people just post videos.
Stop, talk.
He does. He seems to do all that.
Like the people that probably say that he's a jerk are probably a jerk to him, and then he's like, or he's just having a bad day.
Yeah, or you just
Which
have to tell
everyone
people I
does.
can't do it right now, right? And so people get mad. But so here's the thing. 6 years since Man of Steel came out.
That's crazy. I was 8 when that movie came out.
6 years. It's been an interesting 6 years since that movie came out. Very dividing 6 years amongst the DC fan base. A lot of MCU fanboys, and we love the MCU as well. But a lot of people just it feels like they just want to hate on DC just to hate on DC because honestly, Man of Steel to me
Was a tasty movie.
was an awesome movie. I don't know how. I mean, okay. Last thing about this movie, the glaring elephant in the room. General Zod gets his neck snapped. To which I just say, look.
He did it to protect those people that he gave him a chance to stop.
He tried.
But you also
It was either.
And you also saw that he was crying when he did
You
it.
saw
I
the
love that.
The inner
Oh.
turmoil of like even the scream before he hugged Lois afterwards. Like he didn't want to have to make that decision, but he made him.
When he screams like that in anguish over
You can see
having
that inner
Sadness.
turmoil.
that acting right there was tremendous because you could see the anguish in Superman that he didn't want to have to resort to that, but like
Zod
he
put him in
told
that
Zod,
position. He said,
Krypton
you're
had
gonna
its
have
chance.
to kill me if you want to do this because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, you're gonna have to make that decision and live with it.
he told him, he said, you're gonna have to kill me, and he didn't want to have to, but he did it. And here's the thing, folks. Superman has killed Zod in the comic books. It has happened. So it's not like I don't understand why everybody acts like Zack Snyder just pulled all this stuff out of a hat and just was like, hey, here's some stuff that I'm just gonna throw at you, because Zack Snyder honestly has done a great job
He's done a great job.
with giving us comic accurate thing. Everybody might not like it, everybody might not want to accept it, but at the end of the day, we have got the most iconic, real to life comic book moments from Zack Snyder's films and from this DCEU. And you can't deny it. You cannot like the movies all you want. I got one friend would not watch Batman versus Superman because Batman uses guns or touches guns in the movie and kills people or whatever. Which that's a whole that's a whole other video and discussion.
Yeah, because Batman kills everyone.
Every movie, every iteration, pretty much.
Not the Light Knight.
Yeah.
And even in the comic books, he kills everyone.
Well, he doesn't kill everyone, but
he doesn't kill everyone.
he doesn't
kills
like to kill, but he has killed.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have a no-kill policy, but the thing is that's not in
Still
everything. It happened. Tell that to the guy in Batman Returns that he shoves the bomb down his trousers. That was a weird word to use. But he shoves a bomb down his pants and then throws him into a hole and he explodes. I don't think that guy's coming back. Also in the '89 movie, which just celebrated
Batman
its
doesn't have
30th
balls.
anniversary. Tiffany,
What?
Batman the movie with Michael Keaton celebrated its 30th anniversary.
Oh my gosh, I feel old.
Yes, that's a whole other video that we need to do.
Yes,
But
What should call it? I feel old.
But in that movie, I mean, he grabs the one guy by the head with his boots, slams him into
his
the
number
belt.
one guy?
And no, not the number one guy.
joking.
No, but he takes the guy, slams him into the belt, and then throws him down the bell tower shaft.
I don't think a 20-story drop is something that you just bounce back from.
No.
It's from Batman.
Yeah. Hey, look, stuff happens. But what I'm saying is just that those are all arguments that you can have, and I respect everybody's opinion. I respect everybody's arguments. But I really think that when you look at the test of time, whether or not people like the DCEU, whatever happens with it, if it gets rebooted, if it gets split up now with this new idea with James Gunn, which is another video, whatever happens in the end of the day, Man of Steel on its own, if Man of Steel had just been a standalone movie that never went anywhere and never had Batman versus Superman for a sequel, I think probably the biggest blunder that makes people not respect Man of Steel the way it should be is that it didn't just get a direct sequel.
Yeah.
Is that it immediately
Right away.
they jumped into world building with Batman and stuff. I think if you don't have Batman versus Superman, but Batman versus Superman is left till later, and you do a Man of Steel 2, and then maybe you do a Batman movie, and then maybe you do a Wonder Woman movie, and you kind of introduce these characters, and we've all talked about this before, and then Batman versus Superman or something like that. Maybe people would look at it differently. I don't know. But for me, Man of Steel, I love you. Henry Cavill, we love you, man. If you ever watch this video,
We want
much
to meet
love.
you. Come over and have dinner and meet our dog.
We're in Michigan. We're in
Yes.
Michigan. We almost got to meet. him. He knows my friend Scott McLeod, and
They worked out
They
together.
worked out together.
And we almost had dinner with them before he had to be whisked off to
You know,
Chicago.
Scott invited me over to their house. Invited us over to their house for dinner to have dinner with
what are we, chopped liver?
Henry Cavill, and then Henry Cavill had to
But
move
you know
on
what?
because they
You-
finished filming early
You
and
may
went to
have
Chicago.
lost your stuff though. I don't know if you would have been able to keep it together for an entire meal for that man.
I would have.
You would have peed your pants a little.
Oh man, Dinner with Superman. The stories. That sounds like it should be a series right there. Dinner with Superman. All right, guys. Well, but that's our take
Maybe
on
Henry Cavill can come over. We can actually do that video. I'm just saying, hey,
Henry.
what's your favorite dinner? We'll cook it.
Contact me.
Yes.
Contact me, bro.
Hashtag.
Next time you're in Michigan, man, you are invited to be on the Poindexter Lounge. We've had other Supermen in the Poindexter
You
Lounge.
can even wear your Clark Kent glasses.
Whatever you want to do, bro. We love you. All right. Thank you so much, Henry, for giving us Man of
Our
Steel
fave.
and for giving us this version of Superman because
We love
it's awesome.
it.
It's awesome.
Yes.
I get a little sentimental and a little choked up about it. All right, guys. Until next time, my name is Enosh, a.k.a. Enosh Fett, along with the lovely.
Tiftastic.
And of course,
Landing Calrissian.
just saying, look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
No,
it's
it's-
Henry Cavill coming over to the Fee house
Yes.
for dinner. One day. All right, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you made it this far in the video, you are awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. Please smash that like button and of course subscribe, and also hit that notifications bell so that you are aware when we put out new videos, which is like all the time. Thanks for being a part of the Poindexter Lounge, and we'll see you next time.